Let for service. Love 15.
And the first double fault from Edberg.
Out. 15 all.
Edberg also serving to the forehand of Becker, cutting out the angle. It's from this wing that the slice serve wide to the forehand is helped by the wind.
Out. 30-15. Out. 40-15. Game Edberg. Becker leads 5 games to 4.
With his first ace of the match. How much difference, Mark, will it make in Edberg's mind the fact that he hasn't beaten Boris since the Paris indoor back in 1990? That's an awful long time ago.
Yes, I think it makes more of a difference now that he's a break down than he did at the beginning of the match. I think that he comes into this match very much on a high because he's beaten so many fine players and very confident, and his game is gradually coming together. He enjoys being here. He's not far from home, and it's a surface that he's very comfortable on. So I think at the start of the match it wouldn't have any real impact. Now it actually has more, I think, of a positive impact for Boris Becker than it does really for Stefan Edberg, because Becker, I think, has played exceptionally well. He's only had 2 points, I think, in the match where he's faltered in any way, and that was a double fault and then a subsequent point to that which gave 2 break points to Edberg. That a little loss of concentration perhaps, but apart from that his play has been almost perfect. He's been faultless, very controlled, very deliberate. He looks as though he knows exactly what he's doing, and difficult for Edberg to really make any headway against a Becker playing as well as this. Very confident indeed.
Well, you never know, watching Barbara, whether she's confident. Often you can't even see her because she ducks down behind the parapet. Serving for the first set, 5-4.
Let for serve. Let for service.
Only his second ace. I say only because actually Boris, good server that he is, hasn't served that many aces this week.
30 love.
In fact, 22 aces Becker had served in his 4 matches on his way to the final, which for somebody on grass who serves as well as he does normally isn't very many. Serving very heavily there. 3 set points.
(40-15).
Well, they have their supporters, I suspect, rather more for Edberg in this crowd than for Boris. Still set point.
Well, it's always a dangerous serve to play that wide one to the forehand, because it leaves the gap down the line, which Edberg was able to exploit.
Game, first set. Becker 6 games to 4.
So the first set to Becker after just 35 minutes of play.
Second set, Edberg to serve. Thank you.
Edberg left shaking his head at what might have been a perfectly struck pass, just inches long. Second set, Edberg to serve.
(15 love). (30 love).
This is the first final between 2 men who have earned on the tennis court alone more than $20 million. It gives pause for thought.
(30-15).
An interesting piece of trivia dredged by David Irvin, who was late of the Guardian, now here doing the programme notes daily for the tournament.
(40-15).
This is the Stefan Edberg we know. Poetry in motion.
(40-30).
Becker very quick to see that he wasn't going to return, follow his serve into the net, and made his return such that he could force from the net himself.
Game Edberg. First game, second set.
Stefan Edberg will be pleased to have secured that game. I feel that at the moment he's still a little bit rushed. He's up against someone who's just hitting that ball a little bit harder. His previous opponents, he's had just that extra time, though if we look at the 3 previous rounds, indeed he lost the first set, so he's certainly not going to be in any way fazed by the fact of having lost the first set with Becker. What he has to do quite clearly is he's got to maintain a high standard of serving, because as soon as his second serve drops just that little bit short, Becker is going to be hitting an aggressive return, or as indeed, as we saw in the last game, Becker's going to come into the net. So he's going to be under pressure. The serving is important, and I think somehow he's got to make some impact upon the Becker serve. He's only had 2 chances in the match so far, and one of the features, I think, of his previous matches, particularly against Goran Ivanisevic earlier on in the tournament, was the quality of his return. His return was absolutely superb, and that's something that he really needs to achieve. There's a splendid view of the centre court here at the Stella Artois. It's absolutely packed centre court. It couldn't be a better day for spectators or players alike. It's not too hot, just a little bit of a breeze. And it certainly creates the impression, and is the case, that playing on grass is bliss in these sort of conditions.
Becker, love 1, second set.
Steps in here,
Love
Edberg,
15.
look, he leaps forward to that forehand and directs it down the line. Good psychological blow for him, that.
Oh. 15 all.
Sharp intakes of breath around the court, but he knew exactly where that was going to bounce as soon as he saw it leave Edberg's racket. Just got it, I think. No call.
15-30.
Yes. Another point exactly like the first.
Oh!
Oh!
15-40.
Well, that's 3 double faults now. And this enthusiastic crowd is so keen to see their local man do well, often to be seen here practicing and playing with the leading British juniors. Always very helpful in that regard. 2 break points.
$30-40.
So here's the 4th chance to break. Edberg had 2 on Becker's serve in game 8 in the first set.
Oh!
Deuce.
Well, he went for it. It was a good serve, in fact, rather swinging into the body.
Let for service. All.
Edberg also serving to the forehand of Becker, cutting out the angle. It's from this wing that the slice serve wide to the forehand is helped by the wind.
Out. Out.
30-15.
Out.
40-15. Love 15.
And the first double fault from Edberg.